Kohdok! Kohdok! Come in and know me better, man.
You know we're already in the same room, right?
Oh, hey, you're right.
You're a little absent-minded, Spirit.
No, I am a large absent-minded spirit. You might even say I'm giant.
I walked right into that one.
Kohdok, as the ghost of Christmas present, it is time for me to show you Christmas morning.
What? Oh, wow. It's Christmas morning and all the kids are opening their presents. Wow, they look so happy. Oh, wait, there's a whiner.
Yes, there is a whole world of toys bringing happiness to children. Some of them you did review, some of them you did not. Like McTavius Destroyer.
Hey, I'll get around to that. Sometime.
One of the things that will be opened many times under the Christmas tree is this. Skylanders Giant Spike activated. Well, here you go. Time for you to get to work.
The premise behind Skylanders is that there is an alternate dimension called the Skylands. The Skylands consist of a lot of floating islands and are protected by characters called Skylanders. A while back, an evil being known as Chaos appeared and banished the Skylanders from the Skylands, sending them to Earth in the form of the toys you can buy in one of your local retail chains. The idea behind the portal is the portals can read the character and supposedly send the character back into Skylands to battle them. I've glossed over these before about how they're actually really nice looking and they also connect to an online game, but the figures actually contain individual memory chips. It's not actually like a code or something, it actually saves the data about things like levels, abilities, equipment, and how much money they've collected on the actual figure, and it can go in between consoles for things like player versus player and co-op mode. I'll actually be able to take some clips this time since it turns out I've owned a DVR the entire time, so I'll actually be able to record this. The game itself is sort of an action-adventure game where you go around fighting different enemies with some RPG and puzzle elements. It's a fairly typical game of that type in this regard. However, the portal gimmick is actually the game's strongest selling point. The characters have a great variety, and each one has a totally unique playstyle. There are all sorts of attacks that Skylanders can do. There's melee attacks, ranged attacks, charging attacks, evasive attacks, slamming attacks, burst attacks, decoy makers, minion spawners, wall makers, arcing attacks, trap setters, mega busters, shielding moves, flying moves, teleportation, bombing attacks. There's a lot, okay? There are tons of ways these characters can improve themselves. They can level up, which increases their hit points. They can buy upgrades, which make their attacks better. And they can participate in heroic challenges, which can increase their other stats. Characters can be one of 8 elements: fire, water, wind, earth, life, undead, tech, and magic. Each element has its own set of benefits, as each element can unlock certain area gates or get power-ups in the areas they're in. There are also some support items that can help your Skylanders or damage enemies. This gimmick also gives Skylanders the benefit of being virtually pirate-proof. Even if somebody bought a pirated copy of the game, they would still have to get a portal and some characters in order to properly play it. No doubt about it, there is a lot of money involved in this. Skylanders Giants, which came out this year, introduces a few new gaming elements. While first-generation Skylanders, who have green bases, work with Giants and can reach the new level cap of 15, they do not unlock heroic challenges and otherwise gain no new abilities. Series 2 versions of older figures, which have orange bases, instead can unlock something called Wow Pow, which is an additional power stacked on top of the ones they already have. There are also 8 new regular characters to try out, although they don't get any Wow Pow bonuses. There are also light core characters who light up in several areas, I imagine by borrowing power from the portal the same way they do in order to save their data onto the chip. Series 2 Skylanders can be used in Spyro's Adventure, but not if they are new characters. Still, making all these characters usable in the first game is technically just a patch away. And of course, there's the Giants, who also have some light core power. Giant Skylanders are larger, have higher hit points, often deal hefty damage with their attacks, and have many special abilities, such as the ability to destroy bombable walls, lift and throw boulders, crash down on weakened floors, and perform several feats of strength that allow them to clear the path before them.
No stopping me!
They're not perfect though. Their size makes them easier targets for enemies, and their movements are often pretty slow. This means that even though giants are very powerful, they aren't always appropriate for every situation, so playing your giants with prudence is an important skill to learn. Giants also add several more elements, such as the new game of Sky Stones. Sky Stones is a simple game where people play stones next to each other which have different values. If a stone played has a higher value than the stones next to it, it flips whichever stones it beats. Have the most at the end and you win. Wait a minute, haven't I seen this before? Oh god, it's Triple Triad all over again! Anyway, many of you know that I made an article a while back about 5 things I hope to see in Skylanders Giants. Well, I've pretty much mastered the game. Not only have I cleared the story mode, I've 3-starred every level, obtained every accolade that doesn't require buying more Skylanders, unlocked every achievement, gotten every charm, every Skystone, and every hat, except the gold top hat since that requires PvP and I only have 1 controller. What? The Knight's helmet's missing? Well, let me back out and look what I'm wearing. Yeah, I haven't just beaten this game, I've pretty much destroyed it, so I think I can speak fairly well in regards to how it plays. First on my list, a longer, bug-free game. Well, this one's up in the air, partly because, as revealed in my early video, there are actually fewer levels in this game, as the number of soul gems, of which there is 1 per level, are fewer since they are aligned only to the new characters. So there are certainly fewer levels. At the same time, the new levels are also a whole lot longer, and it can easily take half an hour to finish each one on your first time through. Then again, what does that mean to someone like me who is a speed-running wizard and can make the time challenges with roughly 2 minutes to spare even in Nightmare mode, even on levels with a par time of less than 5 minutes? Then again, the game also has a much more relaxed pace from its predecessor. In Spyro's Adventure, you were pressured a lot more to advance the game and go to the next level the instant you finish the previous one. In this game, it's not that big a deal. You can go back and finish up some older levels, try some arena battles, play in the ship's onboard casino, etc. The more relaxed pace makes the game more satisfying to take your time going through, so I'd say as long as you're into the mood to relax a bit, it can be a longer game. As for the bugs, I encountered one while recording where one enemy didn't spawn correctly, so I couldn't continue. I had to go back to a different room in order to trigger the spawn in advance.
No stopping me!
Number 2, skippable cutscenes. Back in the first game, one of the biggest flaws that this game had was that it could be hard to skip the cutscenes, with some of them being fairly long and playing every time you encounter them, especially in the case of the heroic challenges. Man, even all the kids I talked to hated that one. In Giants, being able to skip cutscenes depends on the scene in question. Most cutscenes can be skipped in this game, but a few can't, usually when dropping an important detail. Otherwise, the answer is basically yes. Number 3, at least one Lady Giant. Finally, one with a definite answer. The answer is yes. Her name is Ninjini, and she is the Giant of Magic.
Any last wishes?
I don't really know that much about her since, at the time I made this video, she isn't out yet and I don't have my hands on her. You can read more about why I asked this question in the actual blog post. Number 4, more actual boss fights. Oh man, the lack of true boss fights in the previous game really ground my gears, particularly with this guy Vathek, who was looking to be the first real fight in the game but never happened. Instead, it was boss rushes, with one really big boss rush at the end. Now, there are still arena fights against a lot of enemies, and Dark Skylanders can still be encountered in ambushes, but I am happy to say that yes, there are actual boss fights. The best part is that I can show you some clips of these boss fights without spoiling the plot. One in particular is a drill bot, which I guess is supposed to sing. This drill bot is all I see. But he falls kind of flat when compared to another singing boss from another action-adventure game. People who know the game I'm talking about know what I'm talking about, and no, I'm not going to say who it is. Anyway, there are actually boss fights, and I was quite happy to encounter them when I got to them. You still can't fight Vathek, though. And finally, number 5, Chaos as a playable character. Well, seeing as Chaos is the villain of this game, I'll hold out on this for now, unless someone's gone and torn up all the programming to prove that he isn't playable, and who knows, he might be playable in the upcoming Skylanders 3. Otherwise, the game is certainly harder, with many enemies wearing armor that has to be removed before they can be damaged. Interestingly, though, you don't actually need a giant in order to clear the story mode. The giants mostly serve the purpose of being an alternate means to an end or to unlock hidden areas. Otherwise, you can go through the entire game without them. You just have to take a few detours and miss some hidden stuff.